Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. And welcome to our video on so you want to buy your first electric guitar and start learning how to play. So this video is for beginners. So I'm going to keep this pretty simple as I can and very direct. Why you don't buy at department stores, Costco's, The Source, Radio Shack, Sears, Walmart. Okay, you know the drill, right? Pawn shops for used guitars. And why you are supposed to go to a real music store has to do with this. Okay? Now, this is actually the neck off of what's behind me, the body. A guitar that my son and I picked up as a project guitar. Now, I have experience. He's learning. But I have a lot of experience working on guitars. And we thought, hey, let's try fixing up a couple of turds and see if we can turn them into some beautiful playing instruments and even up the quality quite a bit. It can be done, These guitars cost like maybe $100, $80, $50, depending on, what brand they happen to be. They're all off brands that don't really exist anyhow. I mean, we searched out this one and I found it on a forum and some guy was, hey, what do you think about this brand? It's like, it doesn't exist anywhere. We can't find out who makes it. It's probably somewhere in some country anyways, probably China, and China makes some really awesome instruments, don't get me wrong, they really make some sweet stuff, and they make some crappy stuff, and I have no idea where this thing was made, because there's not even an indication anywhere where it was made, so who knows. But the nice thing about this guitar, we paid 30 bucks for it by the way, it's got really nice machine heads on it. Okay, we got this thing from a pawn shop. And these are the kind of tuners you want. Okay, you see there's nuts and washers holding it here, and then of course each one's got a single screw. We're also rebranding this thing too, and so that's why the tape, so you don't see it yet. It's not ready to be unveiled by any means. But this neck, if you look at it, I sat down too soon. If you'll notice the nut, it's kind of on an angle. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be completely horizontal across. Now, we got lucky with this one. The frets are actually really good. They did a nice job, nice even job on the frets. So why they couldn't cut the slot proper for this, who the hell knows. But at least that we can compensate for with when we set the intonation on the guitar. And that's all set through the saddles, which I'll show you on a guitar shortly. The fret wire on here is actually pretty decent fret wire. It's good metal wire. It's pretty durable stuff. And it's a very thin type of fret. It's not a jumbo fret, it's not even a medium jumbo fret, but it's a little thicker than a normal thin wire, so pretty decent. And I mean, this is a guitar where you could actually push the strings right down to the fretboard itself and not raise the pitch, so that's a good point, at least for a lot of beginners. But this is from a beginner guitar. Now, the one thing that's really scary about this guitar was the fret ends. Okay, these are the ends where they need to do the final cleanup. They were sharp enough that it would probably send your kid to the ER, okay, for stitches. They were extremely bad. And that's why you don't buy this crap from those stores. And the cost of fixing this stuff up to get a playable instrument, not taking it to the stage we are, but just to clean it all up and get those fret ends taken care of, etc. I mean, that's a big expense, so it's just stupid. So you go to a real music store and get it over with and get yourself a decent rig. And there's a lot of different price ranges of guitars. Now, you still have to be fitted for a guitar no matter what, even electrics. There's different neck diameters, there's different people with different hands, sizes, lengths of fingers, etc. Right? And so you got your fat C-shaped necks, you got your mediums, you got your narrows, you got your super narrows. Then you got a U-shaped neck, which I'll show you as well, which is a very thin profile neck. Great for people with short fingers, okay? Now, I don't exactly have short fingers, but they're not exactly majorly long, and they're not piano fingers either. People who have piano length kind of fingers, like really long fingers, they need a really fat-necked guitar, okay? They really do, because these people, it's ridiculous the amount of grab that they have, with their hands. So they need a fatter necked guitar. Now, when you're looking at guitars too, the skinnier fret wired guitars, I mean, you can hold them down to the fretboard and you're not going to raise the pitch. I mean, these have a good point in that, so that's reassuring. However, these kind of frets don't tend to be as long lasting or durable as a medium jumbo or a jumbo fret. And all my guitars, with the exception of this one, I mean, that's my kid's guitar that we're doing, but the guitars that I buy for myself to buy and play on, right, I always buy them with medium to fat jumbo frets, because I prefer those for the simple reason it gives me a super fast neck, so I can do some really crazy fast playing and barely put any pressure down, okay? The other thing that's important too, other than your neck diameter and making sure it fits your hand right, and that goes for the little kids too, for those little kid guitars, is the action height or string height. Now this is the height of the strings off of the top of the fret wires, okay? It has to be set as low as it can go without causing any kind of buzz. Now also keep in mind that over 99% of the electric guitars that are on the racks, no matter how little or how much they cost, all will come with a 9-gauge string, and you need to stick with that 9-gauge string. If you go lower, you're going to have to change your whole setup of your guitar again, okay? You're going to have to re-intonate the guitar too for the thinner strings. I mean, this is something that, you know, you pick a string gauge and you get it set up with that string gauge and you stick with that gauge, okay, until, you know, such time warrants that, you know, maybe you might want to go thicker, or maybe you might want to go thinner, okay? But 9-gauge is what you got to stick with realistically for the guitar to perform its best, okay, and be able to be set up really well. Because when you go to a lighter gauge, that neck right now, it's going to end up pulling back even further because the strings are so thin, they stretch more, so now you got to bring the neck height up. And once you do that and you switch back to a 9-gauge string, well, now your action's way too high, okay? So this becomes a problem. And thinner than 9-gauge strings also don't stay in tune worth a crap, okay? So that's another thing you got to be aware of. They stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch, and then they finally just go ping, and they snap, okay? So they're really crappy. So 9-gauge is actually a very nice gauge, very good for string bending too, you know, if you have the setup right. And part of your string bending capabilities comes in your setup of how close your strings are to the top of the fret bars. Okay, now you can't have them touching the fret bars, there's still a reasonable amount of distance here, right? But when you hold down your last fret and your first fret, there should still be a little bit of relief from the neck, okay, where there's a gap, right? And that's good, so there should be, you know, between a 16th to a 32nd. And I usually have mine around a 32nd, but actually really super marginal. But that's the way I like my guitar set up, and, you know, but it's at its lowest point that it can possibly go without buzzing. And that's where beginners need their necks set up too, and their action, because this is going to make it so easy for you to press on the strings. It's utterly ridiculous how easy it'll be. So this is going to alleviate a ton of discomfort and pain, because guitar is technically no pain, no gain initially until you break in the callus. But if you have the neck set up and the whole guitar set up so that it's super, super low action and no buzzing, I mean, you are going to have the sweetest playing instrument, and you can go from where you would probably start out at 10 or 15 minutes a day every day, you could jump right into a half an hour and it won't even bother you, okay? But the one thing you got to keep in mind though is you don't do the death grip even on those skinny frets, okay? Like I said, they're not as durable and long lasting as bigger frets. And the bigger frets, by the way, you don't put pressure on them, you just barely have to touch these strings and they make perfect chords every time, right? And allows you to play fast. Okay? And being able to play really fast is great, you know, so you're just like skimming the surfaces. I mean, the string is not even touching the fretboard, okay? Your finger is not even touching the fretboard, right, when you're dealing with frets like this. And a lot more guitars nowadays are being made with these thicker frets, and a lot of people are still like, my guitar doesn't sound right, it sounds like it's out of tune all the time, and they're bitching about it, you know. And you know what? Don't. It's you. You're squeezing too hard. If that music store set up your guitar properly, which they usually would, especially respectable stores, they don't want to piss off their customers, okay, and they set it up to the specifications that you asked for, and it was fine when it left them, okay, then your guitar should play just beautiful. So if you're getting an out of tune sound, okay, this is tuned, right? Now watch when I press really hard. You can hear it. Wah, it sounds like a tune. That's you. That's not the guitar's setup. That's not the guitar that's the problem, it's you. You're pressing too darn hard on these jumbo-sized frets, whether they're mediums or full jumbos. You can't do that on these guitars, okay? The idea is you press down, but lightly, until you get a perfect chord. And that's the amount of pressure you apply, and that's it, nothing more than that. Because you go more than that, and you're raising the pitch and knocking it out. And you know, you can still go back and do a regular chord again after, properly, and it's going to sound right because it's in tune, right? The other thing is you got to learn how to tune your guitar properly too. And so, I mean, you're going to need your guitar, you're going to need a tuner, you're going to need a strap, you're going to need a stand, you know, gig bag if you want to be portable, or a case, you know, if you want to be portable, if you're going to go to your buddy's lot and jam with them and learn how to play, that sort of thing. But I mean, generally beginners like little kids, you're not taking your guitars anywhere, so, you know, all you need is the guitar and a strap, an amplifier, a cord, you know, and a pile of picks. I mean, none of you even need a capo to start with, okay? But the picks you want to start with are 0.38 millimeter picks. These things are so bloody flexible. If you can't learn to strum with one of these things, you got a problem. Okay, these are super flexible. These are going to help you to strum really well. It's not going to help you to switch your chords any faster, but it's definitely going to help you to strum really quick. And you can put some authority into these picks, and you're not going to break any strings. With a thicker pick, you're going to break strings. So if you don't want to break strings, number one, you got to tune your guitar right where you can break strings. But two, you're going to have to use a really super thin pick like a 0.38 mil, and use that for a good year at least before going to a 0.46 mil. Okay, and the 0.46 mil is going to be a lot more of an authoritative pick. And you can still learn blues with this pick too. With this 38, you just hold it up closer, you know. Okay, if you want to play some rock stuff. Okay, and you know, if you're doing your little twangy country stuff. So I suck at country. I don't like country music anyhow. But the point is, you use a pick like this and it's going to really improve your picking skills dramatically, okay? I got my son onto using a pick finally because he's always put his thumb. I finally got him using picks, you know, but we also bought him a brand spanking new Yamaha acoustic for Christmas. And I mean, his playing skills going from the piece of crap he was playing on to what he is now, which is a really nice instrument for $170 that I paid plus tax. Okay, oh wow, his skills just improved like immediately. You know, it's a world of difference when you have a nice guitar that's properly set up, and that was under $200, and it's a sweet guitar for a Yami for that kind of price range. Now with an electric guitar for a teenager and adult, you guys are likely all going to be into this size of guitar, right? Teenagers and adults, so you know, 13 and above, right? You can pick up a guitar like this for, well, this one's about $276 or something like that. I saw it on the internet. You know, so it's close to $300. I mean, I wouldn't spend more than probably $250 on a brand new guitar as a beginner for a teenager and adult. And the kiddie guitars, I mean, you can pick them up for $100, $130 even at a music store that are really good. I mean, this $100 piece of junk is garbage. You buy a $100 guitar at a music store, now you're getting something that's playable for a little kid guitar. This is a $100 adult size guitar for teens and adults. I mean, that thing's abhorrent garbage, right? But of course we're fixing it up and we're making it better. But like I said, you're gonna spend a boatload of cash to do it. You know, I mean, just for our project purposes, we've already got, well, by the time we're done, we're gonna have about $140 tied up in this thing, you know, and $30 of that was the price of buying the guitar. We're not even counting labor yet, you know. So I mean, come on. I mean, that's, if you were to take that thing to a shop to get it done, you're going to be spending about $400 or more to have it fixed up, you know. So think about the math here and the logic. Don't buy crap guitars from department stores. And yeah, I know department stores are starting to carry Peaveys and Fenders and Yamahas and they're, you know, whatever. You know what? If you want to buy the junk, go ahead and get yourself screwed. Okay, I don't care. It's not my money, it's yours. If you want to have a good playing guitar and give yourself half a chance at learning how to play, right? Because I'll tell you right now, not everybody can play guitar. Not everybody. It's impossible. If everybody on the planet can play guitar, nobody would play anything else, right? But the thing is, you don't know until you try, right? And you got to try hard. You got to put in the time, because what you put in is what you get out. If all you're going to do is play 20 minutes a day every day, you're not going to get very far with this thing, even in 6 months, okay? You got to start putting in, 20 minutes a day, to start with, when the guitar is set up perfect, so you barely touch the strings. You should have no problem at 20 minutes a day. Break your fingers in, get those calluses built up, boom, boom, boom. Now you can start playing an hour a day, and do that every single day. 6 months later, you should be a pretty good guitar player. You're a good beginner level guitar player, and a good beginner level guitar player in 6 months of, strong dedication every single day, every day for an hour a day, you should at least be able to do something like this. Okay, you should be able to do that in 6 months. If you're dedicated, if you're working at it, if you use the right thin pick, if you have the proper setup on your guitar, if the intonation was set up properly, if you pay attention on how to properly tune your guitar, okay? You should be able to do that. Now, here's where the lessons come in. Anybody under the age of 14, you stick them in front of the computer screen, and that's it. All your lessons are free on YouTube, okay? For millions of the types of songs and varieties of music out there. Okay, now with teens and adults, you need to buy the proper guitar for the type of music that person wants to play. So if you want to play country twang stuff, you don't give them a guitar with humbucker pickups. You give them a Fender Telecaster style guitar, or a Stratocaster for that stuff. Now the Stratocaster will also handle being able to do some blues, it can handle some jazz, and it can handle some of the rock stuff. Not a lot, but some. But it can definitely also handle that country twang. But the Telecaster is the better country twangy instrument, okay? It's made for it, And you don't have to buy a real Fender Strat. You can buy a copy if they have one in the store, You don't have to buy a $1,200 guitar, because you're an idiot if you do that as a beginner, okay? You don't waste that kind of money. I don't care how much money you got. You're an idiot if you spend more than $300 on a beginner guitar, because you don't know if you're going to be able to play it. I'll tell you right now, you're not getting your money back from the store, okay? There's no refunds, So if you played your butt off for 6 months, you busted you busted your butt to learn to play, after 6 months and you can't play, you're on the wrong guitar to start with. So if you started with a right-handed guitar, you should be on a left. If you started with a left, you should be on a right-handed. It doesn't matter what hand you're dominant with. It doesn't matter if it's a right-handed world, because that's garbage, okay? It's where you have your skills, if you have any, right? Now, most people do start off right-handed, and a lot of people do pretty good, but a lot more people do really, really bad. And I've been teaching for over 25 years. Let me tell you something. I've taught a lot of people, and very few of them made it, okay? Very few. More quit than succeeded. And that's just the way the going rate is, okay? More people will not play as opposed to people that will. Now, some of those people quit just from utter frustration. Because they don't listen, right? They don't want to listen, so hey, you're on your own. See if you can learn on YouTube. Maybe they are still playing, who knows? But I can tell you right now, I know a lot of them that still aren't, okay? People who do the do's and they put in the time, they benefit, okay? Especially if they have skill, okay? But if you think that every single person on this planet is capable of playing guitar, you got another thing coming to you, because it can't happen. It does not happen, okay, ever, right? The success rate is much lower than the failure rate. Failure rate is pretty high. But people also quit just because they really didn't want to play guitar. They thought they did, and they tried it, and it's like, I really don't like this. Maybe they don't like the initial discomfort level, and they'll quit for that reason. That's why you see guitars up for sale. Only had it 2 weeks, really didn't like it. They quit. They're quitters, okay? And they're going to be quitters, okay? So if they didn't even give it a half a chance in 2 weeks, I mean, come on. That's nothing. That just breaks your fingertips in, you know what I mean? So they didn't want to learn, right? And they put it up for sale, and then they want most of their money back, or all their money back. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get about 50% back is what you're going to get. And if you go to a pawn shop, you get maybe 20, 25% of your investment back going to a pawn shop. Because you're there because you want quick cash, and hey, It's not their job to bail you out. It's like when I buy guitars online myself, it's not my job to bail you out of your stupidity because you're an idiot and you're selling your guitar after 3 weeks because you're a quitter, so you're going to pay a price for it. If you want to sell it to me, this is what I'm going to pay you, or wait for somebody else, and a lot of times I'll tell you that those guitars still stayed up for sale for a long time. You know why? Because people are scared like hell when they see guitars up there that are too new. Okay? They're like, what is wrong with the guitar? There's something wrong with the guitar. Now, also, most people are stupid too, in that they don't get the guitar set up when they leave. So then they take it home and they find out they got some buzzing frets, and it's like, well, it's warranted. Take it in, they'll fix it. They have to, it's warranted. But a lot of people don't even do that because they don't realize that they have a warranty on there. It's like, anything you buy brand new, boys and girls, has a warranty, okay? It has to be replaced. That is friggin' international rules and laws of the retail industry. If there's a product you're selling and you provide a warranty, you must honor that warranty, not optional. Because if you don't, you can get in a lot of trouble, okay? Especially if the person pushes it. So, you buy a brand spanking new guitar at a music store, you need this information so you don't have anything to complain about later. It'll just be you that's the one screwing up. That's why I said they set it up, low action, low as it can go without buzz. Make sure the intonation's set up properly. Make sure everything else is good with the tuners, all that jazz. Let them go through the guitar. Let them keep it for a couple days if they need to. Okay? And then this way, when you get it, it's perfectly set up. So if you hit a chord and it sounds like that, that's you pressing too hard. You don't need to use the death grip on any guitar, period. If you're using the death grip, that's a problem. Now, if your guitar is not set up properly when you take it home, because you didn't get them to set it up and you just took it off the rack and took it home, and you're giving it the death grip and you're hurting your fingers, that's your problem. You should have had them set it up. So now you got to go back to the store and say, can you set this up? Right? Now, and don't wait too long either, because if you wait too long, it's going to cost you instead of being for free. So you better have it within the next, couple of days at least. That's reasonable, but a week or two, no, even I'd give you a bill. Okay? So, best to have it set up before you take it home, right? And at least this way you got a great guitar, you didn't spend a ton of money, and I mean, you still got to look for an amp while you're there too. So take the guitar that you want to buy and take it around to all the different amps in the store that are within, say, 120 bucks, because you don't want to spend too much money. Keep that in mind. I don't care how much money you have. Like I said, if you fail, you're losing money. Better to lose part of your shirt than your whole damn friggin' clothes on your body, okay, over the deal. So check the guitar and see what it sounds like. Every amp's gonna sound different, man. They do. So it changes, right? So see something? Oh, I like that. Check the pickups. Okay. And if you like that amp and it sounds great, good. If not, move on. Go to the next amp, the next amp, the next amp that are within that price range that you have that you're gonna properly put out here, and then see what you can find. And if you find something that you like, it's suitable, hey, that's what you buy. Same as for a little kid, I mean, you're gonna buy a little kid guitar, you gotta have that kid sized up with the neck, because the bodies aren't a major deal on electrics. It's not like acoustics, they're way different for setting up, right, for a person's body. But a little kid guitar, I mean, the neck has to be the right diameter and the right length too. Because they have half-size guitars for kids, they got three-quarter size guitars for little kids. Okay, so you got to make sure you have your little kid with you so you can try out the kid on the guitar to see which one is going to be the best for them, and that they can also get their grip around properly too. Once that's settled, now go play around with different amps, and for a little kid guitar with a little kid amp, I mean, you spend maybe about 50, 60, 70 bucks on an amp, that sort of thing. Don't buy those little baby friggin' Porta amps. Those things they're novelties more than anything. They're fun toys for us guys that just have 80 bucks to waste, and we like it and we throw it on our shelf. I mean, when I was a kid, I had a portable amp, okay, but I had a purpose for it, okay, and it was kind of clean as long as the power was low, but it got dirty really fast too. And the dirty channel was really dirty, and that was cool. But cool little portable amp plugged onto the side of your hip. You can still buy them. I mean, they got all different kinds and brands and styles of the darn things now, you know, which is fine. But you know, that's what you're looking at, right? Don't go for those things. Get an actual amplifier that's going to sound good with that guitar, because if your kid doesn't like how that thing sounds, they're not going to play it either. I wouldn't, right? So, but don't break the bank here. You know, so even on a little kid setup and everything, you're still around $250 out the door, you know, and you're closer to $400, you know, with everything for an adult size, you know, in that area, $450-ish, you know, for everything. Now that's going to be your guitar, your strap, a mitt full of 38 millimeter picks, you know, a stand for the guitar. You know, you don't need to buy a case, you just need a stand. I mean, you're learning guitar, you're a beginner, I mean, you know, but you do need a stand for your guitar, you know, and a cheap $20 stand is all you're going to need, okay? And besides, every time you pick up the guitar, you're going to have to retune it anyways, because they either go sharp or flat from sitting overnight. I mean, with different changing temperatures in the house, wood moves all the time, man. And just sitting there on the angles that they do, the wood moves. So, you know, it does actually affect your guitar and its tuning. You know, sometimes it may not sound like it. You go, oh, this still sounds good. Well, not really. It's actually running flat, you know what I mean? Or it's running a little on the sharp side, you know, but you'll get an ear for that as you go. And check your tuner and you'll find out, oh crap, that is actually low. Oh crap, that's high, that's high, that's high. Oh, that's really low, you know, that's high. You know, it's all over the place sometimes, right? So you gotta always tune your guitar before you play. And if you beat your guitar strings like crazy, you know, eventually you're gonna knock things out of tune a little bit, right? You know, and that's the idea between a 38 millimeter pick, a .38 mil pick, is you have all that flexibility to just, you can play for hours like that and your guitar is not going to come out of tune on you. Okay, you can go nuts. Okay, and forget effects pedals right away. I mean, you got to learn how to play. Now, you give this thing 6 months, okay, and work your buttons off. And if you can't figure it out, you know, and you've taken all kinds of free lessons on YouTube, or if you're of the age where you actually paid for, you know, an actual teacher, whatever, okay, don't pay for teachers, like I said. You know, kids that are under, you know, under 14, throw them in front of YouTube, okay, they're going to learn way more anyhow. And they're going to learn a lot easier because they'll pay attention and focus, and they'll skip from one teacher to the next every 10 minutes and learn something different, right? And there's lots of us on there that teach that are great teachers. There's me, there's Marty Songs, there's Rockin' Good People, Will's Easy Guitar, there's Dr. Groovy, Scott Groves, okay, and a few others up there too, you know, that are really good teachers. And of course there's some really crappy teachers too that are just utter and complete idiots and morons, but hey, you'll find out who they are as you go along. And hey, it's the variety pack, man. It's the world we live in. We live among a world of all kinds of weird and strange and interesting people, okay? But I mean, you really need to go to a real music store. Otherwise you're gonna get screwed real super easy. Hence, you know, why I showed you that neck, you know. I mean, that's a $100 guitar that, you know, is now, well, by the time we're done, it's going to be worth quite a bit. But the thing is do you want to go and spend $300 or $400 to have a $100 guitar fixed up to be nice and playable, you know? Or do you want to go and spend $200 or $230, $250 on something that's really super sweet? I mean, this Ibanez here, I mean, you know, this thing is a really nice little rig. I mean, this is $276 brand new, right? I mean, that's not bad. You know, and it's a really nice axe, you know, and I like it. And, you know, it's not overly heavy, but it's not too light. You know, it's got a C neck on it, which is really cool. It's a maple neck, rosewood fingerboard. Rosewood is very common on necks on electric guitars, you know, and you can get guitars with maple fretboards too. Now, the other thing I'm going to talk to you about too is about a U-neck. This is for those people that have really short fingers, okay? They're going to be the ones that want a U-neck style guitar more than anything, or a really small diameter C-neck. But this U-neck is great for anybody with short fingers. Now, I don't have exactly, you know, really short fingers, because I can go right around this neck real easy, right? So, but I love the profile of this. It's nice and flat across here. It's a very fast neck too. You know, it's not a really super glossy finish either, you know. And it's got the fat frets too on this one, and yeah, so if you push too hard, you raise the pitch, So you got to learn how to deal with these frets like I was talking to you about. It's got a nice rosewood fretboard on it too with the maple neck. You know, it's just an all-around really, really nice axe. I mean, I really like this thing. It's a sweet playing instrument. Now, when I bought this thing myself a couple of years ago, when I first bought it, I mean, this was almost $400, okay, at the music store. And it's like, I don't even care. You know, I could afford it. Well, right now, today, a couple of years after, right, you can buy the Chord X2 still. They're still producing the Chord X2. You can now buy this exact same guitar for $238 at my music store. Now, the prices I'm telling you are Canadian dollars, okay? So that is a really good price. And I mean, this, I consider this to be beginner, intermediate, and I would actually consider pro playing with this guitar, okay? The Ibanez, I definitely consider it for beginner and for sure intermediate. I don't think I would quite put it into the pro class area, but this one I would, and I got a slightly longer neck on this one too, which is really nice. You know, the Ibanez is a little bit shorter, but not by much, you know, but still, the playability, the action is just awesome on this thing, you know. And I only had to do one little tweak on my G string on this, on the one saddle, and that was it, and it's perfect. You know, and of course I've lowered my neck, you know, to where I want it. I still, even though I'm an advanced player, I still want a really super low neck, you know, and so that it just doesn't buzz, but it's super, super low, right? Because then I can just, so if I want to practice doing a lot of speed stuff, because you got to get accurate at that. I mean, you know, it's not just about going, you also got to be accurate at what you're doing, but and that's how you learn to get more accurate. You just work at it, repetition, repetition, repetition. You know, you're not going to just start doing this and going, you know, and be accurate every time. You got to work at the kind of crazy stuff you're going to want to do, right? You know, same as when you're doing bar chords, like, you know, you got to work at that, work at the accuracy type of thing. And you need a fast neck for that. And these fat frets provide you with a very fast neck because you're not putting much pressure on these things to put them down and create a good chord. But when you put too much pressure, it knocks them. It makes it sound like they're out when they're not out. It's just you're pressing too hard, which causes it to be out. So you need to not press so hard. Okay, so no death grips, right? Even on skinny fret guitars, yeah, you can give them the death grip and not change the pitch, but you're also going to hurt the frets a lot quicker too. So when the neck and everything's set up properly, you know, you won't have to hardly put any pressure even on those skinny fretty guitars to make them work properly, you know, and you can still get a decent speed out of them. But because when you do put the chord down regardless, those strings in your fingers will be touching the fretboard. Those skinny necked guitars like that, like skinny fretted guitars, they will slow you down. So if you're looking for something that you can do some serious speed with, you need a speed neck. So you need something with medium jumbo to jumbo style sized frets in order to get that speed in there, you know, capability, you know. Like I said, I mean, teens and adults, very big concern. You need the right kind of guitar for the type of music you're going to play. So hey, you know, if you're the country guy, twang, you need, you know, Telecaster style guitar. If you want to do the country stuff, a bit of rock, some jazz, and a little bit of blues, Strats work awesome. But if you're a heavy metal headbanger, you know, thrash metal, hard rock, soft rock, jazz and blues mix all together, then you need something with 2 humbucker pickups, right? And if you want a bit of extra country twang to just do a little bit, well, then you need 2 humbuckers and a single coil, okay? So you can just use the single coil for your twangy type of stuff. But still, you know, I mean, there's a lot of mixes of pickups too. I mean, you can get a humbucker and 2 single coils, you know, and just crazy combinations, right? But you do, you know, for the teens and adults especially, you guys are going to definitely need guitars that fit your music style. Little kids, they're mostly running them on little Strats. You can get the little Hannah Montana guitars for some of the little kids too. They usually have like a single coil pickup or just a humbucker in them. Sometimes if you get a Tele style, it'll have the 2 in there, a humbucker and a single, or 2 singles. They vary, you know what I mean? But you know, like I said, they still got to be sized up with their hands, and the body length is the big issue too with little kids. Kids do not grow into guitars, they grow out. Now, if you do become a good player, even if you're not going to be like a full-end intermediate player, you know, you're a beginner, but you're a good beginner player. You know, you're not intermediate level, but you're really good. I mean, you earned yourself a much more expensive guitar, around the $500-600 range. Okay, at that point. But a better guitar, by the way, is not going to make you a better player by any means. It won't, and you can't buy your skills. So don't even think about that. You just can't. But if you don't have the skill in the end, and we've talked about this already, about, you know, switching from left to right or right to left, and 6 months of busting your buttons each direction and you still can't do it, well, then you're not made to be a guitar player, and that's just all there is to it. Deal with it, move on, try a different instrument. Maybe you're better on piano, you know. I mean, like I said, I play left-handed guitar for, you know, I'm on my 33rd year of playing lefty, on my first official year going in on right-handed guitar. So I'm playing both ways now on guitar, plus I'm playing piano and teaching piano at the same time as I'm learning. So that's actually a new concept for me. And I do all this stuff on YouTube, you know, and you guys know that know me, and those who don't know me, well, guess what? Now you know! So check out my channel and have fun, because there's a lot of guitar lessons up there, there's lots of piano lessons. I put new piano lessons up every single week. There's always a new lesson, it's always different. And you know, I haven't done any guitar lessons in a while, but I'm going to be starting to do those again soon, because I want to start teaching some of the metal stuff and harder rock, you know, type of thing, and I'm going to teach more on the blues and whatnot too, you know, as I go along. But you know, so, and my lessons and all that are all free, you know, so, but yeah, so you got your list, you got your knowledge, you know, you should be okay now to just go in and have fun, and you know, walk out of a music store with a really nice setup, and start your journey into music. And like I said, I'm not trying to discourage anybody when I tell you that the failure rate's pretty high and success rate's pretty low. But the only way you're going to find this out is to try. But and I really hope you do succeed. I really do. Music is a beautiful thing, you know. But I mean, if you don't succeed, you don't succeed, you know. But you can learn on YouTube, and you can learn from a real teacher. But the way you cannot learn properly is by just buying books and trying to learn that way. You really can't teach yourself very well. It'll take you forever. You need somebody to give you instruction, okay? So whether you're going to pay for that instruction with a teacher, or you're going to be for free on YouTube, you need instruction, you need guidance, you need to be shown the chords, you need to be shown how to switch the chords, you need to be shown different rhythms, and you need to practice those rhythms, you know. And you know, you can watch the video over and over and over and over and over and over and over as many times as you need to until you get it, you know. And that's the thing, you know. And like I said, the big huge thing is here is what you put in is what you'll get out if you got skills inside you. That's the big ticket, you know, because you can still put in, and you won't do any better because you have no skill. And some people are in that boat, and that is just the way it goes. Anyways, if you guys have questions, and I'm sure you will, because I wasn't going to get into covering all these tremolo bridge stuff and different types of tremolos. What I can touch on before we go is just that if you buy a guitar that has a whammy bar on it, my Chord and my well, all three of them actually have them, but these whammy bar systems come different ways. Now, I really like this 2-pin bridge setup style. I have it on this and on my Ibanez. My Yamaha right-handed is the typical Stratocaster one with the 6 screws across. I mean, it's just the way they make them. But these whammy bars, okay, now I have mine set up with an extra spring inside, and I've also adjusted that spring tension in more to really suck the power in, to suck this bridge down. And when that happens, the intonation has to be reset. So when you get the guitar set up, if you get a guitar that has a whammy bar on it, it's going to be something like this. Tell them to set the action as low as it can go without fret buzz. but also tell them to make sure that they install the third spring. Now, you're probably going to have to pay $2 for the spring. Whoopee. Okay? And tell them to make sure that it's got a lot of good tension to keep that bridge down at the back. And then tell them to make sure the intonation is set up properly. Okay? And a new set of 9-gauge strings. Okay? I don't know if I said it, I may have, but just in case, most of these guitars come with 9-gauge, and if you go to like a 10-gauge string, which is heavier, a lot of guitars you can damage them really bad. Okay, Fender has a warning on the Squier Classic Vibe Stratocaster that I'm buying, that if I go any thicker than a 9-gauge string, they will void my warranty because it'll wreck the guitar. Okay, so I'm gonna listen. And besides, I love 9-gauge. They're the best for bending. I love them for bending, and they stay in tune really well. Thinner gauge strings, like I said, we went through that. But anyways, it's no problem bending downward. Okay, you just don't want to bend too far down, because then you slack it off too much up at the tuners, and so when you pull it back, it will knock you out of tune. But a little bit of, light, sharp bending like that is kind of fun and cool, and it shouldn't knock your guitar out of tune too easily. But at least, you get rid of that floating, hovering system, and it's going to stay in tune way better. Because you want to spend your time enjoying playing your guitar. You don't want to be sitting there, and you're playing the guitar, and you're having fun, and all that jazz, and then you do a bend, like this, and then you pull back on it, which can, by the way, snap your strings. Been there, done that, which is another reason why I locked them down. So I'm not going to bend strings, but it also keeps the guitar in tune way better when it's locked down at the back here. And there's 2 ways to lock it down, and both of which are fully reversible. Okay, the other one is just a lot more effective because it won't allow you to push down. Okay, that's when they put a block of wood in there. So if you want functionality this way, you better let him know, otherwise he might do the full lockdown, which means you can't do this. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind, right? But otherwise, yeah, you're set to go. Pick holders are handy, by the way. They cost about $2, depending where you buy them. And you'll load a bunch of 0.38mm picks in there, so if you drop one, who cares? Snag another one out quick, boom, and put it in a position where it's not in your way too on the body, right? And then you can get at your picks pretty fast and easy, So get that, get your guitar, your amp, your patch cord, get yourself a strap, $5, $10 strap, however much you want to spend on a strap. Make sure you got this kind of tuners, and the rest of the drill. And like I said, you got questions, feel free to ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them. And we'll get you in the next video. Thanks for watching.